Notre Dame absolutely obliterated the Navy midshipmen in their Week 0 game across the pond in Ireland. But it kind of got me thinking, what does this mean? What did their performance tell me about what we could see in their matchup in late September against the Ohio State Buckeyes?
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
All right, I want to get this out of the way right away because I know some people are probably going to hammer this point home in the comments. It was Navy. Yes, I understand it was Navy. And this was not a good Navy team like maybe we've seen in the past 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that kind of thing. This is not a good Group of 5 football team right now. So yes, you put a team like Notre Dame out there, a top 15 team in the country, they're going to perform like they did. You put a lot of Big Ten teams on the field with a team like Navy, and you're going to get a similar result than what happened over in Ireland when Notre Dame matched up against the Naval Academy. So I want to get that out of the way right away. But I think I saw some things from Notre Dame that Ohio State should be ready for, and maybe Ohio State can capitalize on when we get to that big-time Saturday night matchup in late September. The first thing that I want to talk about, a lot of people are talking about right now, is the performance of Sam Hartman. When we get to that matchup in late September in South Bend, Indiana, whether it's Kyle McCord or whether it's Devin Brown, Sam Hartman is going to be the best quarterback on the field. You look at the history and what he has done at Wake Forest and the numbers and success he has had down there in Winston-Salem in the ACC against Power 5 competition. I don't think there's any doubt about it. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to have the best day. I just think he's going to be the best quarterback on the field in South Bend, Indiana. Ohio State's secondary is not the strength of their football team, and Notre Dame's wide receivers as well is not the strength of their offense or of their football team. So I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup because what I saw today against Navy is I think Sam Hartman is going to make these wide receivers and these skill players on the outside a little bit better as time goes on, building up, of course, to that game against the Scarlet and Gray. What I saw is he's able to handle different situations, handle different things, and he's able to put his guys in the right position. And there's a lot of guys that he really distributed the wealth around to in this football game. So Ohio State's secondary is going to have to be ready to defend a whole bunch of guys in that game. First couple of drives for Navy. Now, I know defending the triple option is a lot different than defending traditional offenses, even like the spread attack that Ohio State runs. It's assignment football. We all know about that. But Navy was able to establish a little bit of the run game, I think, early on in this game. And when I look at that matchup, Ohio State and Notre Dame, considering this is going to be the first really big test for Kyle McCord or Devin Brown, hopefully they got to figure out what they want to do at quarterback at that position at that time. This is maybe a game for Ohio State where they're going to lean on the run game. And based on what I saw, especially early in this game, I think this is a defense that Ohio State could run on. We'll see what happens with the offensive line. The interior of the Buckeye offensive line is returning. It's the tackles, of course, that may be in question right now. But running the football up the middle. Remember last year's game. This was not an Ohio State team that spread it around. This was not an Ohio State team that threw it to their wide receivers a ton. This was a low-scoring, physical. They had to beef up. They had to play Big Ten football to be able to defeat Notre Dame last year in Columbus. I think the run game is going to be huge, maybe for a different reason, maybe because of what's going on at the quarterback position. I think Notre Dame could be susceptible to that as well. How about Notre Dame's run game against the Ohio State pass rush? Audric, Estime, he had a pretty good game, I remember, against the Buckeyes last year, early in the season against Ohio State. And you look at that power run game especially. This is a good Notre Dame offensive line. Could this Notre Dame run game neutralize what Ohio State has in the pass rush? The Buckeyes are going to succeed on the defensive side of the ball if they can pin their ears back and have their elite pass rushers get into the backfield. We know all about JT Tuimoloau. We know about Jack Sawyer. Michael Hall Jr. Is in there as well. And then, of course, the linebackers, Tommy Eichenberg. We know about Steel Chambers. We know if these guys are able to pin their ears back, they're going to have a good time. One matchup I'm really excited about seeing, JTT against Joe Alt. Oh, it just has me salivating at that type of matchup. Kind of like the Penn State-Illinois matchup later in the season when you're going to see Johnny Newton go up against Olu Fashanu. There's some really good matchups. But getting back to this Irish Buckeyes matchup, the power run game with Audric Estime. There's a few other guys. There's a stable of backs behind Audric Estime that could maybe give the Buckeyes a little bit of trouble as well. Could it neutralize that pass rush? Because we saw that Ohio State, Penn State, remember that great game that JT had last year? It's that pass rush. When they're able to get into a groove for Ohio State, that's when they're able to make big-time plays, losses, turnovers, that kind of thing. If if Notre Dame is able to succeed up the middle of that defensive line, we know the edges are going to be really good. What's it going to be on the defensive line? We know Tommy Eichenberg is good, but getting to that second level, is Audric Estime going to be able to grind down, hold that time of possession, keep Ohio State's explosive offense and receivers off the football field? I think that is something to really keep an eye on. If Notre Dame is able to keep on running the football, if Audric Estime and this offensive line builds up that confidence over these first couple of games, that's something Ohio State has to really be ready for. I think this is really going to be an interesting matchup because neither of these two teams have a great schedule leading up to that big-time game on NBC in late September. I think it's going to be a fantastic matchup, but these are just some things to look at, some things I saw in this Week 0 matchup for Notre Dame as they approach that game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. What do you guys think about this Week 0 matchup in Notre Dame and how it translates to their upcoming matchup against the Scarlet and Gray of Ohio State?
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.